failure to which it will lead nationwide protests.
FIDA Kenya has issued a 30-day ultimatum to the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, the police and the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions to provide a public update on investigations and prosecutions related to murder cases involving women. This includes information on the whereabouts of the key suspect in the Kware murder, Collins Jumaisi, who to date remains at large. After escaping Gigiri police station custody in August, he escaped soon after confessing to killing 42 women aged between 18 and 30 years. The women included his own wife, and he claims to have killed his first victim in 2022.
The Directorate of Criminal Investigations, DCI, and the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions must provide a detailed public update on the status of investigations and prosecutions of all suspects tied to these femicide cases.
The ultimatum follows the deaths of at least 30 women since the beginning of the year. FIDA wants the National Police Service to provide a status update on these investigations in the next 14 days, failure to which they will call for nationwide protests.
We cannot allow femicide to become a normalized part of a society. Enough is enough. Our options, including mobilizing a nationwide picketing of women to demand our right to safety and justice.
The Federation is also calling for legislative reforms to classify femicide as a standalone crime within the Penal Code. The lawyers are also demanding that the vacant position of the Gender Cabinet Secretary be filled urgently.
FIDA Kenya is committed to advancing legislative reforms to include femicide as a stand-alone crime within the Penal Code.
In January this year, thousands of Kenyans held a protest in various towns and cities across the country, calling for an end to femicide and violence against women. At least 546 women and girls have been murdered in Kenya from 2016 to 2024, with 16 of those killed in January alone. The victims included 20-year-old university student Rita Waini, whose dismembered body was found in Kasarani, online influencer Scarlett Wahoo, and most recently a 23-year-old trainee Catholic nun whose body was found in a pit within Rongo Parish Convent. Another victim, 23-year-old Seth Nyakio, was laid to rest today at Langata Cemetery in Nairobi. The late Nyakio was murdered on the 14th of this month at Biafra Estate in Thika Town. Her body was found at a friend's house with the cause of death recorded as manual strangulation.
We want to make sure that this actually does stop. Every day in the newspapers, we have pictures of people's daughters and sons who have been killed in mysterious circumstances. Many times we are told no stone will be left unturned. Alafu wiki moja, wiki mbili, we pray and hope that this will indeed be the last time.
According to a report from the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime and UN Women, current and former intimate partners are the most likely perpetrators of femicide, accounting for an average of 55% of all intimate partners and family-related killings. The report further says that 41% of married women have experienced physical violence compared to 20% of those who have not been married before. Bentura Kwamboka, K24, Nairobi.
A family in Malindi, Kilifi County, is pleading for justice for their loved ones who were allegedly shot dead by a police officer in Maweni area. The late Jimmy Masmo, who was a 17-year-old and a candidate expecting to sit for the KPSEA exams, had gone to a wedding ceremony in Maweni area with his cousins when tragedy struck. Elsewhere, a family from Bondo sub-county is pleading for support to help their kin undergo a correctional surgery after being shot on the thigh on the 25th of June 2024 during the nationwide Gen Z-led protests. Busara Naman with more.
Tears and sorrow engulfed the late Jimmy Masmongala's family following his untimely demise. According to the parents of the deceased, the late Jimmy met his death after the police on patrol ordered them to introduce themselves on their way home. As they engaged with the police, one of the officers drew his gun and shot Jimmy on his chest, leaving him dead on the spot.
Serikali inisaidie kwa kila upande. Juu mimi natafutia mwanangu hakuwa akichukua cha mtu. Mwanangu alikuwa sio mhalifu. Mwanangu alikuwa ni mtu ambaye hata akiona vita mahali popote anatoweka.
Human rights activists led by Victor Kaudo from Malindi Social Justice Center are now calling on the Inspector General of Police and IPOA to investigate the incidents so that the family can get justice.
Maswali yenye tuko nayo ya kwanza ni kuwa what happened to the right of life? Kwa sababu hata kijana akuwe mhalifu aina gani, hakuna sheria yoyote Kenya ambayo inaweza kupatia ruhusa askari yoyote kupiga risasi na kumaliza mtu yoyote.
The body of the deceased is currently being preserved at the Malindi Sub-County Mortuary, awaiting for post-mortem examination. Elsewhere, 32-year-old Henry Omondi Ocheng from Bondo Sub-County is pleading for financial support to cover for his medical bills after being shot on the thigh on 25th June 2024 during the nationwide Gen Z-led protests.
Tarehe 25 Tuesday, mwezi wa 6. Sasa mimi natembea tu kwa barabara, lakini nimepata kama hii risasi imekuja kwa mguu. Sasa watu wa boda kama rafiki ndiye amebeba, nimepeleka huko kwa hospitali.
For over 4 months now, Henry has only been on constant painkillers to reduce the severe pain as he cannot raise the amount that is required for a correctional surgery.
Sasa mimi naomba tu mtu yote asaidie mimi. Tupate hizo vitu ndio nataka. Naomba tu Mungu, yani watu wote, yani kama mtu uko na Mungu akuje nisaidie mimi tupone.
Henry laments that his life has been completely shattered as he can no longer undertake the boda business that he used to engage before.
Tangu apate ajali, bado tujalipa rent. So tunaomba a good Samaritan mwenye anaweza kutusaidia.
This had a ripple economic effect on his family, and for 4 months he has been unable to pay rent or fend for his wife and 2 children, noting that the burden of the injury has been very heavy on his family to an extent that getting even a single meal has become almost impossible. Bustara Naman, K24 TV.
Willis Ayero, Wells Fargo Human Resource Manager, died from severe head injuries according to a post-mortem report. Ayeko's body was found in a river in Siaya County with some of his body parts missing. As Mila Kisenya now reports, the gruesome murder that caught the country's attention has seen the police arrest one suspect believed to have been part of the murder.
Days after the body of Wells Fargo HR manager Willis Ayeko was found in a river in Yamnini area in Siaya County, details that might have led to his death have finally been revealed. Streaming at the Lee Funeral Home to establish the cause of his death were top government officials, his family and friends. And after hours of the autopsy process,
what we found first of all is the body was decomposed to a great extent, and what we found as the injury were on the head. We found a lot of bleeding, bruising in the scalp and bleeding in the brain.
Detailing the events that led to his gruesome murder, government pathologist Johansen Odwar disclosed that Ayeko suffered extensive bruising on his head and bleeding in the brain.
There were some other bruises we found on the wrist. I understand that when he was found, he had some handcuffs on, so there were bruising on the wrist, which were as a result of the handcuffs. There were also some bruising on the knees and on the lower limbs. We found also some missing tissues on the face, around the mouth, on the ears, the cheek, the chest. But looking at them, initially we thought probably this person was undergoing some form of torture, but when you examine them very closely, they look like what is called animal predation.
I would like to agree with what Dr. Odwar has said. We are in agreement in the diagnosis. The cause of death is head injury due to blunt force trauma. And also importantly, we were able to identify him positively from clothing and the physical features.
Authorities have been up and running to arrest his perpetrators, and following several leads, one suspect has been arrested in Dandora with proceeds from the crime scene and is currently being held at Muthaiga Police Station. Meanwhile, the findings from the autopsy will also contribute to the ongoing investigations by detectives.
I understand the culprit come from Quisero, which is at the border of my constituency. And I'm told the culprit has a brother with the same name, so I believe the DCI will go deeper to ensure that these culprits are brought to book and that wananchi at home can go around with their lives feeling as safe as they should be.
Milia Kisienya, K24 TV.
Well, we'll take another break right here on K24 Evening Edition. We still have more updates lined up for you on the other side of that break. Stick around.
Back to the future. The future is